In this segment, Celtic Capital President and CEO Mark Hafner discusses best practices for bankers when handing a client over to an asset-based lender.
Bankers are oftentimes in a position where they have to take a client of theirs and move them out of the bank because the borrower is no longer qualifying under the bank's guidelines. And oftentimes bankers can hand off the client relationship to an asset-based lender, but it represents a transition for the borrower. If the borrower hasn't borrowed from asset-based lenders before, it's quite different from bank financing. So the best way to make it a smooth transition is for bankers to sort of set the stage for the borrower up front. And when they're communicating to the borrower that they have to exit the bank, clear communication on what the borrower should expect would be important. So prepping the borrower for the differences between bank financing and asset-based lending, letting them know that asset-based lenders don't just require monthly reporting, but oftentimes daily or weekly reporting, letting them know that the lender oftentimes controls the collections, unlike what they may be doing with the bank, and that the asset-based lender will have tighter controls over certain aspects of the reporting. So communicating that clearly to the borrower is important up front. And also telling them why they don't qualify for the bank anymore, why they're being asked out, and what they would have to do to be eligible to return. Would they be eligible to return, or does the bank just want out of the relationship and doesn't want to see the borrower again? Because oftentimes banks will want to get the borrower back once they've rehabilitated whatever the issue is. And the bank has the ability to maintain the banking relationships because asset-based lenders, not being a bank, will not require them to bank in certain institutions. So the bank can maintain those depository relationships, the checking accounts, etc., treasury management. And so having clear communication with the borrower, letting the borrower know that they're welcome to stay with the bank on the banking side, but they need to move the borrowing side temporarily to an asset-based lender. Here's what you need to do to come back. Here's an expected time frame. The other thing that's important is to have clear communication with the borrower about the time frame in which they need to leave. So if you need them to leave by a certain date, you need to tell them that. You need to tell them what will happen if they don't meet that deadline. And you need to be firm in your response with them. Oftentimes, borrowers will come back to the bank and say, oh, I couldn't meet the deadline because I couldn't find anybody to provide the loan to take you out. And what they're really saying is either I haven't looked hard enough or they have found lenders, but they don't like the terms. So the bank needs to be clear with the borrower, okay, if you're going to seek an extension, it's going to mean this or that to you. Just extending them for 60, 90 days without any repercussion to the borrower will just tell the borrower, the bank's not that serious and we can continue to stretch this out longer. So really the bank needs to prep the borrower clearly up front, keep the communication clear with the borrower, and be firm in their timeline in which to leave or what repercussions will happen if they don't.
Thank you for listening today. If you'd like to talk to Mark Hafner about your specific business financing issue or about making referrals to Celtic Capital, sign up for a quick one-on-one chat with him at www.celticcapital.com. And if you haven't already done so, subscribe to our podcast channel to hear more business financing insights from Celtic Capital.